Hey everyone, back to the 1958 Corvette. We are investigating the mystery green wire that runs all the way here through not the correct grommet but over the top. It goes to the trunk, which had this big spaghetti wiring of mess, which comes out here, not in the grommet port but through there. Had all of these fun wiring connections. So to determine that essentially these were added backup lights. There. And there. They are glass. But as I said, for the safety of putting a battery on the car and turning on the car, I'm trying to eliminate anything that can catch on fire. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave the ends. I don't have my soldering iron here at the house. It's at work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut these ends off to where it connects inside the car up to where the ignition is. And I'll test the lights separately as I know they're grounded. All this wiring here is related to the antenna, which is in there. It's got 2 leads to the power. It's got the cabling for the actual antenna unit. So what we're gonna do now is just gonna cut this end here. I'm not actually cutting the wire to the lamp, I'm cutting what the attachment is. And it's got these spade connectors, which could be reused, could not. Probably just crimp new ones on, but to the next person, not to mine. And for ease of usage, to get this out through the car, I'm just gonna cut this. All of this is gonna go in the trash. And I'm gonna pull this wire through. And back underneath here to the ignition, which I'll set up next. Hold on. Okay, so what we do is we have this green wire that ran from the trunk going under here. It's got several connections here. It's got another connection there. Running underway through to this switch, which probably operated the lights. But there's another connection here for the power lead, which snaking around. Let's see. Hopefully it's still a red wire, but we'll track that through in a minute. I'm actually going to pull this switch down. I think it's held in with a small, let's get a light on there. Yeah, it's just a flathead screwdriver. So we're going to pull the switch down, have a little bit more room on it. Alright, change of blades. It's hard to get the screwdriver in there. And actually pull the wire off. Pull this through. Let's see where this is all. Inspect that later. Got another screwdriver on there. Red wire connected. For the moment, for ha-has. Not ha-has, but I'm gonna take a look at Alright, so from the trunk itself, when it went into the car, we had another splice. Take a look at this. As I said, this was my parents' car. I know over the years, this seems to be kind of soldered together. You know, you do some customizing here and there, but because it's been sitting in a garage for 40 years, it has not run since 1984, maybe. I remember it as a young kid, seeing it go up the driveway the last time. It might just be, this might have been tapes to hold it in place and under the wires. Unless there's a hole there I don't see, or a nick in the wiring. But anytime I see wiring that has tape in various areas, you wonder why you're putting tape there in the first place. And because no one's here to answer questions, yeah, there's a cut in the wire there. So one set of wiring all the way had 1, 2, 3, and then all the wonder splices in the trunk, areas where it could fail. That's not even factory wiring. It is a, yeah. So we're gonna get rid of this, throw all this in the trash, and move on to that red wiring and find out where that goes. All right, so what we're looking at here in this series of wiring, a little switch flipped on, had the green wire turn on the lights or something like that. The red wire, which was a jumper, going across to this wire, which goes, let's take a look. It's nice having the interior out of here. It goes up, over, and it is grounded. Okay. I usually follow the colors of red is hot, black is ground. This is not residential wiring, it's automotive. I'm curious to see if there is a, put this down for a sec. Oh, look at that. It rests nicely right there. I wonder if there is a big blob of solder on this connector right here before it gets to, from some old wiring that wasn't, yeah. I doubt there's a $50 bill winded up in here. And I'm not gonna just cut wires out randomly. I'm not a Corvette expert. I'm not a professional car restorer. I'm just another car guy with his own car projects. And while I am well versed on Mustangs, because that's what I do, I've been around this Corvette my entire life. So I know where it's been. I do remember these switches one time doing something, but I also remember the car not running very well mechanically. There was always a problem with the carburetor, it seemed. My dad was always fiddling with the carburetor. But that's another video, we'll get into that. So yeah, it looks like this is a blob tied around, connected to that switch. So I'm gonna take this out. Let me get a socket real quick. once worked with a person who wired up his entire studio with blue cabling because it was on sale. Every cable was blue, nothing labeled. And when he had a problem, he had to come and pay an expensive person to come in and fix it because they couldn't figure out which wire went to what. It was all blue, run under the floors, through the ceiling, nothing labeled, it was all blue. At least here, it goes red to green to blue to white to purple. You can't trust what it is. All right, we got that switch out. The wiring, even if it's a ground wire, when someone's like, it's not a power wire, it's just a ground wire. Connections. If you see this is the carrier you put into a connection for a ground wire, yeah, can't say what you're gonna do to a positive. Okay, so that's the issue with the switch. Disconnected. Next video, we're gonna tap into this mofo. I don't know what it is. It's got a series of cables connected, some not, with some taps. I put this white tape here to remind myself to get to it, but it's got a tap inside of a tap, inside of a cut, inside of another cut. There's a bunch of cuts. Well, what does it go to? We'll find out in the next episode. Take care. Until next time.